Good afternoon and greetings from the Youth of India Foundation. Yes, a very warm good afternoon and greetings from the Youth of India Foundation. And namaste to everyone who's present here and are going to be present here in a short while. We have a really special guest coming on board today. And without any further ado, I'd like to add her to the call. Hi Anubhav, hi Krish, hi Ronak. I hope you're doing well. Yes, Lakshita ji,
Hi,
namaste.
Namaste.
Before starting, I'd like to give a short brief about Lakshita ji to the youth present here today in this life. Lakshita ji is a CSR and ESG consultant with over 4 years of experience now in social impact, CSR, and sustainability. She is a certified ESG and BRSR practitioner. She holds advanced degrees from Azim Premji University and JNU. She has mentored over 800 individuals in sustainability, CSR, storytelling, and career development. And I'm very sure that almost everyone around her are really inspired by her every minute. She has collaborated with Google Cloud and Hack to Skill on AI for social good, and we'll talk about it in the later part of the conversation for sure. Also, her love and passion for poetry is something really overwhelming, and she is an accomplished poet and author. She's also published a book named Simple Things. She basically blends strategy with creativity, driven by a passion for impact and meaningful storytelling. So, welcome Lakshita ji to the live.
Thank you, Tanishi. Am I audible, right?
Yes, ma'am, you are.
Okay. So thank you, Tanishi and Shailesh for inviting me. And it's a privilege to be a part of community that is so driven and motivated to make an impact. And looking forward. And thank you, Tanishi, for such a beautiful introduction.
Thank
So
you so
looking
much, ma'am.
forward. Yeah,
Yes,
it's
ma'am.
a pleasure to be here. Yeah.
Same here, ma'am. It is our pleasure that you are here as our guest today.
And don't call me ma'am. It's okay. We can call it each other by name. It's
Sure,
fine.
ma'am.
Yeah,
All right,
Lakshita.
Lakshita ji. So,
Yeah.
starting with, I guess everybody here in the life would love to know about your journey, like from studying at Azim Premji University and JNU to becoming a CSR and ESG consultant, poet, and mentor. What has been your most memorable experience along the way and the entire journey? Could you please frame it?
Yeah. Okay. So I have always been a person who wanted to pursue something, a non-traditional career path. From school itself, I was very driven towards, making an impact, doing something for society. But I did not know as, like coming. So I come from a place. So before knowing what a person is up to, I think it's very important to know the background. So I studied in a place called Sonipat, which is in Haryana. So I belong to Sonipat. My roots are from Sonipat. I studied in a school called Little Angel School, and I think a lot of credit to what I am right now, I give it to my school as well. Right. So there I was very much influenced by literature, English literature, languages. But I did not know how to do it. Like what is the right way to do it? We had Delhi University close by, and I knew, okay, I want to do something in English literature. But honestly, I did not qualify the cutoff of Lady Shri Ram College. That was my go-to college. So I did not qualify, but I still wanted to pursue literature. So I thought, what is the other way? Then I also sat for JNU entrance exam. So JNU has it has undergrad in foreign languages. Not many people know this. They do not have undergrad in social sciences, but they do have it in foreign languages. So I qualified the entrance for Russian literature, and Then I pursued for 3 years. So not many people know this because I was 18 back then. Very limited knowledge. There was pressure for to have to I took commerce, so there was pressure to like study commerce and but internally I knew that I don't want to be a chartered accountant. I was very clear that I want to do something. So like when I want to be like William Shakespeare. I had this kind of fantasy in my head, but then how do you do it? So then I cleared the entrance of JNU, and it was in JNU I with Russian literature. I also studied French literature. So we can take 2-3 languages in JNU. One is major, other are minors, and apart from that, I also took some social sciences courses like Introduction to Anthropology, Introduction to UN System, Introduction to this. Sociology, all of this. So 3 years, I developed my knowledge. I studied what is social sector all about. I volunteered a lot. I think one major thing that I encourage everybody to do is do volunteering. Please do volunteering. Initially, you might feel you're not getting paid for it, but that's okay. Okay, you always learn by doing things. There is no way out. No book in this world can teach you what actions can teach you, right? What a framework can teach you. Organizational structures can teach you. So always do volunteering. I was a part of NSS, National Service Scheme, in GNU, and that's how. And then I used to do activities. So we had IIT Delhi, so I was a part of this. I used to do a lot of drives with IIT Delhi, with GNU. So I would also be part of a lot of things. And while studying, I realized while I was learning languages, um, apart apart from the languages that we use right now, like the words, there is also some languages in actions, right? Like how I'm articulating right now. And language has to be very inclusive in nature, right? For example, languages of deaf and dumb people. So that is invisible this sign language, which we call ISL, Indian Sign Language. So that time, I'm talking about the year 2015. I enrolled myself in a course even within GNU in ISL, Indian Sign Language, and that was offered by a Linguistic Empowerment Cell, LEC, which we had in GNU. And while I was learning languages, um, I never knew how will I use it, right? I mean, you are 18 at that time, just you're curious. But gradually when I learned, and then I also got diploma in ISL. So yeah, I started that for one more than a year. And so I'll tell you how do you say Indian Sign Language. It's basically Indian, and sign is like this, and this is L, right? L. So it's like language. Yeah. So Indian is like, so Indian. Why Indian? Because we put tika on our heads, right? In India. Oh yeah. So Indian,
Okay, that is
sign.
really interesting.
Yeah. Sign, and
Sign
this is L. Yeah. So language.
language. Oh,
Yeah, so that's it. So that's how I learned. And then gradually, I never knew how will I learn it, but there have been events. I have attended Twitter events. So there, when Twitter was conducting one of the events on gender, they do had an interpreter of sign language. Right, so I understood that these days sign language is becoming very common, and people are using it. Even if you see DD News, they do have a sign language interpreter. So in short, what I'm trying to say is never think that what you are learning right now will go in waste, because it will not. Right now, you might not be able to use it, because I also used it after some 6 years, honestly. But I did use it. Okay, I'm still, whenever I meet people in McDonald's or here and there are people who are communicating in that language. It's just that we need to be little empathetic, right? Now, after that, I did my master's in public policy. And so, like, while I'm narrating my journey, I'm also answering a lot of questions that might come ahead. So I did my master's in public policy and governance, thinking that I want to do something for social sector. And then I started my career with nonprofit. And from nonprofit, then I also worked with a university called Petroleum and Energy Studies. And then I shifted to social CSR and sustainability. So currently I'm handling sustainability. And why mentorship? So somehow my friends used to tell me your English is very good. Okay, so I was like, okay, these people are just telling me because they might feel it. I'm not a normal, right? But I used to write SOPs for my friends when I was in college. like for like normal like they
Helping them
used to
out,
come
basically.
to me, yeah, helping them out basically. And then I realized they started getting selected. Somebody got selected in LC, somebody got selected in Harvard. So then I realized that if I'm good at it, I should make use of it, right? So then from past 1 year, I realized a lot of people approached to me on LinkedIn for different things. So I then mentored them. So that's how the journey has been. It was purely organic, not from monetary perspective, but now it has become a structure. Yeah, so that's a good part.
Yeah, wow. So you've mentioned about how the journey turned out for you and how like writing and helping others made you realize that okay, this is something that you can really do in your life as
Correct.
a career option as well. So here you're giving back to the community a lot. And what
Correct.
drives you to give back to the community so much?
I think one thing is definitely that I have also learned from somebody, right? It's not like I have been a lot of things you're self-taught, of course, but I have also learned from a lot of people. And uh, and also so basic that motivation comes because I feel we are living in a very unequal world in India. Let us be very honest, we are not equally privileged, right? We do not we not all of us have access to internet, to emails, to mobile phones, right? So I wanted to make, I mean, I am not doing this very deliberately that I want to make an impact, I make sure that whatever I do has a purpose to it. I mean, it's very clear and evident. I don't work for money. I work for a purpose. So purpose with, you know, purpose with when you're very purpose driven, money comes along. To be very honest, so anybody who is watching, I would always advise with that please work for a purpose. And for that, the good part is you don't have sort of in the morning when you wake up, there has to be that inner drive, right? What is that? Is it like you are waking up because you have to go to office and you're like, oh God, such a, and your mental health suffers. But if you have the drive that you have to wake up because you love your work. So I am a person who breathes my work honestly. So that's why it's like giving back to communities also, because I feel that I am privileged that I have been to good school. I have been to good universities, to government university, right? My education, my fees was very less, honestly. And I felt not everybody in India has access to it. So the circle has to be, complete. We are not standing in a line, we are standing in a circle. So that's important.
That is
Yeah,
really, really profound. And I 100% agree to the fact that at the end of the day, everyone around us should be as refined as we are. And that
correct.
speaks more about us than the society. And coming to society, you talked about experience, actions are greater than theory, and how like one experience can change your perspective about something. Is there some incident that you can relate to it?
Uh, so one experience that changes to something that you are asking.
Yes, ma'am.
So one thing is that definitely that I have learned is so when I was working in my first job, that was in Petroleum University, Dehradun. A lot of people they were purely, it was a BTech background people, right? They were not interested in anything, not social science. They had no knowledge. Basically, it was COVID time, and 17-year-olds do not have much knowledge about how does social sector works and everything. So initially, it was a challenge to uh, tell them what it is and how social sector is. But because of my past experience of working during internships, for example, Center for Civil Society I worked with, it was an internship, not a full-time job. Center for Equity Studies I worked for twice, and then I worked, I volunteered with Youth Ki Awaaz, okay, during college undergrad days. So I actually, so there are things which get stored in your subconscious mind. Okay, so then I utilized all of that learnings and made some kind of presentations during my first job for these 18-year-olds, for first year college students, and I think they only want to pursue engineering, to making them feel comfortable in learning about humanities and interdisciplinary sciences is something that I feel I have done it. And also one thing that I've learned from my experience is storytelling. So I always tell people you can't create stories by doing a course. You can only be a good storyteller when you feel and when you can, you know, derive coherence from your experience. So it's like weaving a yarn, right? Um, when you are knitting a sweater, right? You don't do it deliberately. It just happens. You just have to give that nudge. So yeah,
Everything is a process, like
yeah,
one step at a journey.
yeah.
Yeah. And how do you think young people like me and you today can find their purpose and channel into creating meaningful impact like you did? And the sense of accomplishment after that, which is very, very rewarding and validating, that is something else. How do you think we can do it?
I think systematic approach has to be there. I would not say that try out a lot of things. So I did try a lot of things from law to literature to just everything, foreign languages to data also. Like I want to be jack of all trades, but ultimately there has to be one concrete things in which you want to work. So the answer to that question is try out different things. Please do try, especially at the age group 18 to 23, 24. Please go on trying as many things as possible, but they should be somewhere related to each other. Right? It should not be like one day you are doing something on something in energy studies, and other day you are learning something in HR, right? It might be useful, but somewhere the dots have to be connected, right? So go on learning things, and then coming about the this thing about finding the right balance. I think for me, it has happened because I'm very introspective in nature. आई नेवर लेट अदर पीपल टेल मी कि तुम्हें क्या करना है. आई एम वेरी मच कि मुझे क्या करना है मुझे पता है और उसके लिए अपना माइंड मैपिंग खुद कर लेती हूँ. So I'm a little rebellious as well for that matter. So I would advise everybody that you need try out different things and seek for a good mentor. It can be anybody from your university, from your job, and initially start working under somebody. Don't think that you initially want to be all of want to be an entrepreneur. It's a good thing, but initially you want to have your own organization, which is a good thought. But to understand how this society works, we need to have a reality check. Okay, so for that, organize yourself, have a mind map. And I think there is this theory of change that helps you to understand. I mean, you can always go back and Google that one thing leads to other. For example, actions, small time inputs, large time inputs, long term outcomes. So that really helps. And also, you have to realize that one thing that many people don't have this attitude कि मुझे पैसों से फर्क नहीं पड़ता. But eventually there comes a time in your life when you do have a midlife crisis that you need money and your money is not there. So let us be very honest. Before helping others, we all need basic money and everything. So make sure whatever career path you choose has money to it, some money to it. I mean, don't be very charitable in nature. So excess of everything is bad. So in short, have a mind map, try out different things, follow a structure, and uh, never lie to yourself. And this will be my question. Okay, sometimes we always want somebody to call us this, so we do something, but we internally know how good we are at it, right? So never lie to yourself when you are doing that mind mapping. Yeah.
Ma'am, like you said, that it is always the small things coming in and making the big output after it. So that is what I think life is all about, the little things which come in and it creates a bigger impact.
Yeah.
So, and you've also mentioned about so many roles that you've been playing. So, how would you describe yourself? Like, you seem like a very strong headed and rebellious person. Yes, you do. What would be the three
Yeah.
words you would describe yourself in?
I think I'm very assertive. I now I replace rebelliousness with assertiveness because I think so. So I'm very assertive. I'm a very exploratory in nature. Be it anything, I'm very exploratory. I'm still, and I will always be. And that is something that makes me who I am. So I'm very exploratory, एंड वन अदर थिंग इज दैट हम ना लाइफ में बहुत सीरियस हो जाते हैं हर चीज को लेके. हमें लगता है कि अगर हम अपनी लाइफ वो हमें एमबीए करनी है तो हमें सीरियस. आई थिंक आई एम वेरी quirky as well. Right, in everything that I do. So because I'm quirky, I have that, I take things to my heart, but not to the extent that it harms me. So I think as assertive, quirky, and the other thing that I mentioned.
Explorate.
Yeah, and of course, yeah, exploded. And the underlying thing to all these three is empathy. Please have empathy. Yeah. So yeah.
So that comes from your passion of giving back to the society,
Yeah.
volunteering, and everything. And with that, I would also like to say Youth of India Foundation is the perfect place if you want to volunteer for the first time, inspired by
Yeah.
Lakshita ji. And I think all of the people in the life are definitely inspired to volunteer in their lives for one part or the other. Ma'am, you mentioned about exploratory nature of yours. Do you like to travel as well?
Yeah. So I've done some 12, 13 solo trips in India. Uh, and yeah, and of course, group trips with friends. So I've done a lot of solo trips as well, to Gokarna, to Jaipur, a lot of places in India. And I think that's also because I'm a storyteller. So I look for stories in places that are yet to be discovered, right? And I always feel that we are all, in a community, we are all friends that are yet to be known. So there are no strangers. There are only friends that are yet to be made. So it's very profound. So I do love traveling.
So, is there any story in which you could connect empathy and a different person's story and you could relate to it when you're traveling to some other part of the country?
Yeah. So once I was traveling from Munnar to back to Bangalore. Okay, and I was alone. So I'm a women solo traveler. I was, okay, 2019. Okay, I was 23, 24 back then. And I was, so it was a night time and I was not able to locate my bus. I was like, I had no ticket to come from Munnar to Bangalore, but I had to come, and I knew I would come because South India is very safer, but still I was anxious, and I did not know how to do that, and how where how should I, from where I have to deboard the bus and take the bus again and all of that. So I met one couple. They had a small child. Tirunaveli. There's a place called Tirunaveli. So I met a couple there, right? And they had like they saw me and they were very shocked that how are you traveling alone at this 11 p.m. in the night? And so I was like, no, it's fine for me. You can just help me in finding the right spot where I can get my bus. So that couple, they did not know me. They did not even know my name. I still also don't know their name till now. Okay. And they helped me. And there was a language barrier as well. Okay. They were in speaking in Malayalam, I think, and I'm a Hindi speaker. My mother tongue is Hindi and Punjabi. So they helped me. Like they like from one place to other. That couple made sure that I get into a bus that makes me reach Bangalore. So this is something that always there in my head. And the thing is that at that time, I was feeling vulnerable because I was like, how will I reach home? There was a thought. But thus, that couple went out of the way to help me to, come back to Bangalore. And so that was something that empathy is. And also they had a small child. So instead of bothering about their own child, they helped me. And also that lady, she took my number and she said, please, when you reach Bangalore, you have to text me or call me. Okay, that you have reached. So I think this is something that I feel that we always think that we rely on our friends and family for that, kind of care system. But I think if you travel, you realize that if you are very honest and true at heart, there are people who would come to you and help you without, asking for anything in return. And this is just one small
And it
instance,
is
multiple instances.
really, really
Yeah.
sweet. Coming from a solo traveler myself, I have been in situations like
Yeah.
that, and it is very overwhelming to see that, okay, humanity still exists at a different level despite of the news that we
Yeah.
hear every day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. So also coming to the collaboration part of with Google Cloud and Hack to Skill for the AI for social good, I would like to know how do you think AI can help non-profits and CSOs like us in the coming future to create lasting impact?
So, see, I always tell people that AI is never going to replace social sector for sure. Okay. But people who do not know how to use AI in social sector will suffer by those people who do know how to use AI sources. So the right thing to do would be all organizations, all non-profits that start using AI in your day-to-day activities. And now, how do you do that? So let us take a small example. Uh, so let us take an example. So there was an initiative by Reliance in one of the rural parts of West Bengal for health intervention, for designing some health. So they wanted to monitor, they wanted to design a program for women, for lactating women, and for their children of 0 to 6 months. As to so there was a mortality rate was a lot high at that time for them. I'm not sure about the year, but this is something they were working on. Okay. And they wanted to monitor how they can reduce the mortality rate and how they can monitor the health of pregnant women, especially when they are 7 months pregnant, because women were facing a lot of miscarriages at that time. So what they do is they started uh, doing some pilot in that area. Okay, and they started monitoring the health of this women by a device. So it's not possible for lactating women to fill the form every time, right? Because she has other responsibilities also, and rural women are not that educated also that you expect from them that they would do it. So they designed some device that could actually help. So they had to women just have to put that device on their body, one of the parts of the body, and they could monitor the health of the women. And whenever there was a challenge, the organization, that non-profit, would go to help that woman or the child. And also, they also supported the last mile delivery. So, for example, whenever there was a need that a baby had to be delivered and there was nobody to take care of that woman or child, so they made sure that they had asha workers at that particular time, so that that entire they could provide that last mile support. So this is one of the intervention in which technology can help non-profit to scale, or to help actually to make a ground level intervention. And the other intervention that I feel, just one small one, is very impactful is in Hak Darshak. If you know Hak Darshak, it's a organization that helps people in gives people they help them in getting them the right entitlements. So, for example, there are a lot of schemes in India, like we know, right? There is Antyodaya scheme. Then, okay, so there are different schemes in India. So that Hak Darshak, what did that? And people are not aware as to how they can make use of those schemes because they are very fragmented. And so there is no one platform in which they can help. So, like Hak Darshak has made village level entrepreneurs through our technology, and they've made sure that everybody knows how to use these schemes, and they also educate people, right? And they also create employment. So the right, in short, if you ask me, it would be that start. I think one of the things that all nonprofits should do it, have a part in your capacity building program in which you do trainings on artificial intelligence for your manpower. Right, it can be a session that has to be in person, of course. So there are organizations like one is Temco, which is working on AI. How can you use AI in non-profit? And yeah, and also in the for if you ask about Google, I think they are also coming up with uh, they are also coming up with this initiative that now Google is also very clear that they want to do something for society. So they do understand that they have a lot of technology, but they do not have that human kind of touch who knows how to use that technology, right? So I think that collaboration has to come. So I think all the social sector people should also collaborate with people who, in tech sector. And it's, trust me, it seems very difficult, but it's not. We feel that, okay, there's too much jargon, hame to ye aata hi nahi hai, blockchain, all of that. You don't have to learn all of that, or the depth of it. You can start with the basics, all right? And then you can integrate that, and it help.
Yes, ma'am. In everything you said, there was one part which was very common, that is awareness among the people about AI. Because India,
Yeah.
as a developing country, most people are yet to know the usage of AI and how they can benefit from the other facilities it provides, or how it can make complex data simple, how it can help in monitoring, as you said. How do you think CSOs and non-profit organizations can spread awareness about this particular thing?
So I think first things would be to know about that particular thing themselves, right? And other thing, I think a lot of collaborative work has to be done. So see, because everybody in non-profit is equally beginner. Okay, so if so there are organizations that I can name with whom you can do some programs. Like there is Tech for Good. Okay, then there is this Infosys Foundation does a very good hand-holding support for non-profits. So first thing that I would recommend is learn from people who are already learned, right? And now how to spread awareness is, see, any task that you have to come, from compliance perspective also, NGOs have to report back to corporates annually, have to write annual reports. In 3 years, you have compliance and everything. So I think from compliance perspective also, if you see that you can spread awareness in a way that if you adopt the AI methods, it is going to make you more efficient, right? And that's also how you can reduce reduce on, so you can keep the money that you were spending on human resource, right? You can use that money for in building the technology within your ecosystem,
The
right?
efficiency, the effectiveness, right?
Yeah. And awareness is something that can only come. So one of the ways for awareness is have this. We have it already in India. We have what do you call conferences, have conferences across the across not just in tier 1 cities. This is the mistake we do in India. We're having a lot of workshops in tier 1, Bangalore, Delhi, all of this. We are not having workshops in cities like, okay, Sonipat has a lot of good NGOs. Okay, or let us say if, Panipat or Jharkhand, where, okay. So these are the actual places where a lot of community organizations can come together. And the second thing, because I'm come from a background of languages, I feel AI is very elite language word, artificial intelligence. So it gives the fear, intimidation. कि अरे ये तो मुझसे होगा ही नहीं. So you need to break down the language into simplified version so that अगर आप गांव में किसी औरत को बता रहे हो कि आपको कैसे यूज करना है, आप उसे बता पाओ. So so awareness has not just to come from the employer's perspective, but also from the perspective of your beneficiaries, कि उनको भी पता हो.
The real life examples of
Yeah,
who surround them, basically.
basically.
Okay, so ma'am, you mentioned about compliance now, and as someone who specializes in ESG and compliances, how do you see the transition from traditional CSR to ESG frameworks impacting businesses, like providing a balance between sustainability and profitability?
Yeah, good question. So I think so CSR, like we know that started in 2013 as a compliance thing, and it's been 10 years of CSR now in India. And so initially, a lot of companies were doing only from compliance perspective, but over the period of time, it has become because we have United Nations 17 Sustainable Development Goals. So I think every organization in their way are doing some meaningful impact. So that is happening. And coming to sustainability, so from the amendments of 2021 by Security Exchange Board of India, we do have the ESG framework that all the top 1,000 listed companies have to abide by to prepare a sustainability report. So we do have all that in place, and that's good. Now your second part of the question is this about profitability and impact and sustainability. So see, organizations, when they start their business, they use, let's talk about, there are three types of organizations. The first set of organizations are organizations like Fortune 500 companies. Okay, okay. So when they started their business, the goal was to have good sales, to, they're very product driven companies. Okay, impact was secondary to them. Those, but by the time when this compliance came in, they realized that they cannot be a good company. They cannot retain their consumers until they are very thoughtful about their impact. Okay. So then these companies, they do take social impact very seriously. That means the top 1,000 listed companies, they do care about individuals, not because they're running a CSR project, but because genuinely they want to make a, for example, Tata, right? Tata never is not doing their CSR because they are very, only from compliance side. They're doing it because they're thoughtful about the community, different nudges. And now second type of companies are those companies which are relatively newer in India. Okay, it can be some of the manufacturing companies that have been recently started their plants and everything. So for them, they were clear that if they have to stay in India and given the competition, okay, they have to be in order to be in the game, they have to make sure that their principles are very clear, that they have to think about the community, right? So I think, and also the third thing that I would want to mention is because of COVID, right? A lot of people have realized that the value of human life, right? So COVID has made people more empathetic, and they have made people realize that there is no point of having a good product if you don't have people, right? So that so there is the three P's, we call it triple bottom line in corporates, which is called people, planet, and profit. Okay. So earlier, what companies were thinking was P, one P only, profit. Okay. Uh, uh, people, plan. Yeah. Then they now the approach is then there came a thing about people, and then planet. Now the approach is planet, people, and profit. So the chronology has changed. So this is, you understand. So that's how from the approach of only having dollars and dollars in your accounts to no, having people caring about environment and then going along in making money. That has become an
So
approach.
basically, it has shifted from profitability to humanity,
To
sustainability, and profitability
yeah,
together.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, so, you mentioned about CSRs and it being a new compliance in India. How do you think, what does it take to successfully design and manage a CSR initiative from start to finish? Can you explain it with an example from your own experience in this field for more than 4 years?
So you're asking from the corporate side or from a non-profit side?
Both of the
Like,
sides would work, and we would love to know
okay.
your insight.
Okay, so I think I would answer this question first from the non-profit, if for somebody who's an implementer. Okay, so one thing that I've learned informally, I've been in this sector for around 5 years. Informally, I've been in this sector for like 10 years. From 18 years only, I was doing a lot of work. So what I've learned is uh, the right thing to do is first, please start with need assessment. Okay, we sometimes what you and I think are the problem is actually not the problem. We might feel that women around our area are having low mortality rate or because of this and this factor, but actually maybe there is some other factor, but we do not know, right? So I always advise non-profits, and I keep on getting a lot of proposals on my LinkedIn. My email is flooded with proposals that on any of the interventions. So for any intervention, health, gender, community, education, livelihood, environment, waste management, sanitation, hygiene, anything you call it, please do a need assessment. That what is need assessment? That you understand, do we actually need that intervention? Like, okay, let's take a skilling example, like you said. Okay, so for example, you are saying we want to train individuals. We want to train youth between 18 to 22-year-old for the skilling program. Like for it can be trades like CRM, voice operation, call, this, or trades like carpentry, okay, or trades like this how to use EV, okay, how to repair EV machines, EV automobiles. So then now, do you first, before designing the program for for 500 individuals who can be good in this, you have to first see, do you have those people who are interested in these trades, or do you have just this program like that? I mean, do you think that there will be people who want to be carpenters, or is there a need of people who would want to be willing to be carpenters, and some corporate might be interested in putting money in it, right? So that need assessment has to be done, that you have to first see what is the geography in which you are implementing. Okay, geography is very important. You might a skilling project might do very good in a state called Pune, city called Pune. Okay, but in a state like Delhi, that skilling might not be required in carpentry. It might be required in some other thing, maybe in soft skill development, but not in skilling, right? So that need assessment part has to be done. Now, the second part too is that you also have to see, do you have the enough human resource that you are pitching your project for in, right? So you have to see the ground realities. Is your operations team very efficient? What are the United Nations development goals you are meeting for the every action that you are designing? So your plan has to be fair, right? Monitoring team has to be there. Transparency in the board has to be there. So when you asked me that what is the right way that a company can implement the CSR plan, so the
Yeah.
right way is by actually following that approach, that your beneficiaries come first.
And ma'am, adding up to it, what would be the one advice that you would give your younger self if you would have known more about this sector when you were starting out in this field?
Uh, I think I would tell my younger self to read less and work more. Yeah, I think I read a lot and I worked less. And also something that I always uh, be flexible in life. Don't work in too much structures. We have been always like school mein we had a structure, college mein we had a structure. Social sector mein there it's all fragmented. Let us be honest. Okay, and the thing is you have to put structure to your task. Like for example, if to accomplish 500 beneficiaries, have to meet their 500 beneficiaries. You have to have that structure, but it's very fragmented, and learn to deal with it. And yeah,
Yeah,
so
ma'am,
that is something that,
exactly. The
yeah,
dealing with it, I'm very sure there must be a lot of challenges coming in this sector. So how
yeah.
do you overcome it? Like, what is your coping mechanism for it, basically?
Uh, I actually I'm a person who like who speaks to people. Like if I feel there are challenges, I would design a map for it and talk to my stakeholders. So I think in social sector we have multiple stakeholders. So I am very communicative. I do. Do not have very planned meetings. I think having a planned meeting is something that will not help you in social. Have very peer-to-peer kind of meetings where people actually share their challenges. So what I do is with my group, whoever I am working with, many stakeholders there are, that have those kind of meetings in which you know why these challenges come, where are these challenges coming from. So instead of putting that pressure on people, understand the situation. That's my approach. And the other approach is, of course, have a plan in place. If you feel that okay, the last plan is not working, initially, honestly, I used to be very angry. Why this plan did not work? We planned it so much, and this and that, numbers, lot of things. But then after a point when a lot of plans don't work, you ultimately realize you have to maybe redesign a lot of plans. So be very flexible in nature.
And always keep a plan B for the plan A.
Yeah, yeah, anything. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is something I've realized. And empathy is always something you should have, no matter with whom you are dealing.
And now coming to the part where we talk about your book, Simple Things.
Yeah,
Can you tell us
yeah,
how that came into life and how writing influences your outlook on life and work? Because this conversation makes me realize that you are more of a person who would hold gratitude and gratefulness for every single thing that is happening to your life. So, is Simple Things related to that in a way? And how does it come to you basically?
correct. So first thing is I've always been a reader. I used to read a lot since I think I've read more in school than in college. I was more disciplined that time. So I have written a lot of poems, short stories. I kept on writing. I was very inspired by the work of Ruskin Bond, Kahlil Gibran. These are some of the writers that I really like. So I kept on writing without thinking I want to make it to a book. So I just kept on writing. Um, and one thing I'm a person who likes to have a paperback. I'm not a person who wants to scroll on phone and read. I always want to give my writings as like hard copy, and then let's talk about it like that. So whenever I used to meet people now, so people ask you what are you up to in life and everything. So every time I used to give them my phone. Okay, this is something I've written. So there's a quote app called Your Quote on which I used to write. So then what I felt is everybody's like, oh, you write so good, you write so well. I say, yeah, I write like that. And then what I used to feel is while you're using your mobile phone or your laptop, you get distracted by a lot of other things. Okay, so I realized this is something my writings are very personal to me, and I take a lot of pride in it. That I am very passionate about what I write. It's not like मैंने ऐसे लिख दिया. मैं बहुत दिल से लिखती हूँ whatever whatever even if I'm watching a bird and I'm writing about that bird, I write it very wholeheartedly. So then, by the age when I was 23, I had some 600 poems written. And yeah, so there were some short stories as well, like 20, 30. And then I thought, what should I do with them? COVID happened at that time. And I never thought about publishing from a very good publisher or whatever. So then my first salary came when I was 23, and I did a lot of small things for everybody in my house, like you do it right when you got your first remuneration. Then I thought, what am I doing for myself? Like, so I'm like I should do something that preserves who I am. So, compiling my writings into a book actually preserved my younger self, which I'm very proud of. So then I took this, initiative to self-publish a book. So I did not approach any publisher because I did not have time that much. It's my first job and a lot of other things were happening. So I actually self-published 50 of my poems into a book which is called Simple Things, and I gave it the title Simple Things because there are no jargons in it. There is nothing I'm talking unnatural. It is very experience based. It is very it is very laconic. So now people ask me what is the age group it belongs to. So it belongs to anybody who can read and write English and Hindi. So some of them are in English, some of them are in Hindi. Some so it has quotes, it has short stories, and it is not a structure of book that you might see in Chetan Bhagat. मतलब उसमें ऐसा नहीं है कि one thing is leading to other. My book is very exploratory. Anybody is looking to publish a book, I would recommend them don't go for a see. I don't want to be a bestseller. And I did not promote my book as well. And my friends की तू उसका inauguration कर ले कुछ कर ले. I was like no, this I'm doing it because I don't want that innocent self to be gone. You know. I don't want that 18-year-old Lakshita who wrote a poem on sky in Kerala to go away, right? So I actually I was like, okay, I wrote a poem on seashores in Kerala when I was, I think 20 or 18, something like that, 20, I think. And then I thought when I have a poem on seashores, which I published in that book called Simple Things, and whenever I read that poem on a bad day, so I'm like, okay, no, the current day is not the actual person who you are, how you're behaving. So you go back to your previous writing and read that writing, and like, you are that person. So it also like very, so that's how Simple Things came in. It's like it has quotes, short stories plus poems. That's it. Yeah.
So does it also give a direction to your life whenever you're feeling low? Okay, this is where I'm going in my life. Or is it
Yeah.
like also a fun activity to do? Like, is it everything combined for you? Because for me as a person, I would, I really love poetry. And each time I have a low, it hits more. And it is
Correct.
something that blows me up. Okay, this is what I have to do in life. This is what I'm heading. Is
Correct.
that the same for you, or what is the kick that it gives you, to use the Gen Z language? Kick.
Yeah. Yeah. So for me, the kick is it gives me a lot of gratitude when I read my poems, and it also gives me a lot of authenticity of of being grown up in a tier two city, right? So whenever I'm in, like, for the currently I'm placed in Bangalore. Okay, so the life in Bangalore is very different from life in Sonipat or Delhi or Faridabad, whatever. Whenever I go back to my writings, it also tells me some writings are also like very peculiar. "अरे ये मैंने लिखा था" types, कि, oh God, such a strange self I had. For example, I've written a short story on rat. I had a lot of rats in my house. So, and the rats were not going away. So I was like,
Okay.
what should you do? So I wrote a very short story on rats. So from having that kind of thing to, to a poem on Women's Day, right? Very profound poem on Women's Day. When I read that, now that poem I wrote when in 2020. No, actually to 2018 when I was in final year undergrad.
Yes.
And still when I read that poem, I'm like, this is the Lakshita I am, like, is that me? So it's like you sometimes feel that at this point in life you're not doing well, very good. So when you go back to your writings, you feel, no, this is the day that you're not doing good, but you're actually more than this. And also it's also about the other way that some writings are very basic in nature, so they also tell you that as a writer you have to grow. So it's not like I just want to write one book. I want to actually write other book, and I want to do it in a more professional way. This book was very, came very organically. So I want to do the next one in a very organically yet very profound way. Yeah. So for that, I'm like, I know what I have to do, what I don't have to do. So I think your writing is something that tells you. And whenever I go to somebody's house, they have their children, so I give them my book. Okay, you read this, and they're like, oh, you have written this. So it's
Even
like
I
it feels
want one.
good.
Even I want one now.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I'm
sure,
deeply
sure.
inspired, and I'm very sure that everyone here wants one very badly.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
So coming to the part where you say that the next book you write would be more professionally oriented, would be more profound. What do you think is next for you in life as well? Like any exciting projects that will put the brightest smile on your face whenever you think about how it is going, any initiatives or like creative pursuits you're working on right now and is in the plan.
Okay. So, for so I want to set up my own organization, one thing for sure. I want to do that. And one of the core areas that I'm very passionate about is neurodivergence and invisible disability is something that I'm passionate about. Of course, gender as well, but one of the areas of my interest is disability. So I want to work on that, on disability rights, on accessibility, and that is in my head. I keep on thinking कि मैं कहाँ से क्या कर सकती हूँ. And other is I have realized with time that I am a very good teacher. I'm a very good teacher. Okay, the good word now this is consultant, but I'm also a very good teacher. So I want to create a more big platform in which I, not mentor, but it can be anything. It can be like a start of my own consulting thing in a formal way. So that is something I look forward to. And apart from that, writing may definitely there has to be a new book has to come, but I'm still figuring out that balance between being disciplined to write a book, being start working, then mentoring. So there are a lot of things that keep happening alongside. So I want to write a book. It has to be a story book. So one of the things in my head is that I want to do that, and
If
yeah,
you
travel.
if it's I'm sorry I interrupted you, but then it
Yeah,
is
yeah,
so much
yeah.
exciting and I am very curious to know about it. So we have our own skill center built in Siliguri where we
Okay.
take care of children from the underprivileged section of the society, and we teach them about life, volunteering, and everything that revolves around it. So
Yeah.
I would like to know that if given a chance and an opportunity, would you like to join us anytime?
Yeah, yeah, sure. I mean, that's not even a question to ask. So, there are two things we can do for that. we can have a separate call for that as well, but still just to mention that one thing is you can give me a proposal for, as part of CSR if you need
Yes.
uh, support from my organization. And the other is from my personal level, because how can I support you? It can be doing some workshop with you, or coming there and volunteering, or designing some program, right? So sometimes you need that strategic expertise, right? So
Yes, ma'am. And even for the storybooks part, I think children nowadays would take a more interest in something that is being driven from a real life experience
yeah,
than something which is coming from uh, a completely new theory. So it would be really
yeah,
great if you're there to share some particular kind of stories with them, or maybe books and
yeah,
everything else, and it would be a really overwhelming thing for you as well, because you are the small things and the little things person
yeah,
that I can feel like.
yeah,
Yes. And
yeah,
also,
yeah.
I think Khanji here in the stream has put up a question. So the question goes like, what is your view regarding the stream of consciousness in literature?
Yeah, okay, it's a good question. So I think stream of consciousness is very important. So those who don't know, I will explain what is stream of consciousness. So stream of consciousness is literature means one thing leading to other. So, for example, if you are writing a story and you open your thing, there was a hill station called Masuri, and in Masuri, there lived a man who was watching birds. And while watching birds, he realized his internal news. So whatever, right? This is a structure. So I said that there was a man in Masuri. So then you, okay, though you picturize that, you imagine that. Then one thing to other. So this is the stream of consciousness. So I think for me, stream of consciousness is something that has I follow indirectly. I follow because I think like that. I mean, I think in like one thing leading to other. So that is very profound, and I think in 19th century literature, it has a lot of people have writers have used it, and yeah. So regarding, so my view is it is important. Please use it, but do not think in silos. Okay, I mean you can think in a stream, like you should flow like a river, but never let that environment in which river flows bother you. So if you have seen a river, irrespective of there is thunder, storm, lightning, river is like river, gushing, gushing over us like that. Okay. So, but a river never lets this environment tell river that whose river cannot be. Okay.
Not let the
So,
other people around you
yeah.
affect you, and
Yeah. So,
be you
yeah.
irrespective of whatever is happening, and not let that affect
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
really profound. That is amazing. And that puts me into some perspective in life as well. And I've learned really a lot from this conversation. Pritika Chawla ji relates to the sense of warmth and simplicity that you gather after being grown up in a tier 2 city like Sonipat.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So a lot of people in the audience have also there are a lot of people who have joined in. There are a lot of people who are still listening. We'll be posting it as well, and I'm very sure that every one of them are going to be deeply deeply inspired by your work and how of a personality you are, more importantly, and how you think that a lot, and how strong-headedness, irrespective of whatever the people think about you, irrespective of everything that is happening around you, matters the most. And that is something that every one of us should take a lesson from. Any
Correct.
last advices before this session ends? Do you think anything that our audience wants to know? And what is your perspective about the Youth of India Foundation as well and the work they're doing?
Yeah, okay. So first of all, I'm very thankful to Youth of India Foundation that, a session like this, which are accessible online. When it is online, it is accessible to everybody. So that's very important. And what I've spoken to Salish, whatever the Youth of India Foundation is doing, is a good initiative that there are very few organizations who are doing on-ground good work. right? So operationally, you have to be very efficient. I think Youth of India has been doing it. So I'm very happy about the work that you are doing, and I will tell my viewers that please volunteer with Youth of India in any capacity. So sometimes we feel कि हमारे पास तो कुछ है ही नहीं देने को. We have this thing added, you know. It's not that you always have something to give. You only need the heart to give, I feel. You should have that willingness to give. If you have that willingness, you can always be a giver. And you don't need to give money. So sometimes we feel कि अरे हमारे पास तो खुद ही पैसे नहीं है, हम किसी को क्या दें. Charity or philanthropy or giving is not for money. It's not in terms of money. It's also about giving in terms of sharing what you know, right? So be volunteer in any way in cities. I think you are spread across different
Yes,
cities,
ma'am.
right?
We are
Yeah,
pan-India. We are
yeah,
also accredited by the United Nations itself.
yeah, yeah. So, and also what Shalish told me, one of the things I think in Northeast also you are doing
We are
work.
based
Is it?
out of Siliguri itself.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
Northeast is one part that is very, very close to us.
yeah.
And every initiative that we start, the first part we look at is there. There only.
Yeah. So one of the things from the donor's perspective also, I can say that many organizations are only working in Delhi, Pune, Bangalore, okay, Bihar. So I always advise people, please work for organizations like Youth for India because they are working for a community which is still untouched, right? That is a Northeast community or a Siliguri community. So, I mean, so go where the herd is not going. That's what I mean to say. And impact those people which are yet to be impacted. So associate with Youth for India. And the last piece of advice I would always recommend anybody is start reading things. I mean, whatever phase of life you are at, keep reading. That's how you grow. And keep attending a lot of meetups, events, uh, and also, I think once you are in college or university, you have that kind of academic knowledge and teachers to guide you. Okay. But once you start working, you do not have right mentors. Right. So you are always directionless at some point of time. कि मुझे पता है मुझे क्या करना है, but मुझे ये नहीं पता कि कैसे करना है. How is not clear.
The
So
push is
have
not
one.
there. Yes.
Yeah. So and have that kind of mentor, or it can be a friend also, not necessarily a formal mentor. No, I'm also you should have one person who can tell you कि इस phase पे अगर तुम ये करोगे तो 5 साल के बाद ये हो सकता है, like that. So that mentor is important for anything. And yeah, and also for mental health, that is something I do speak about. That in any part, whatever you're doing, you can be in Big Four, you can be non-profit, in in financial institution if you are working. Mental health is something that is ups and downs are going to come, and there is no way out. There will be times when you will not feel motivated, and there will be times when you are the highly efficient guy person. So I think that peer-to-peer support, if you can be a part of any group, be a once in monthly, it can be once in a month or once in a week with if it is friends for you, okay. If it's therapy for you, it's good. But if it's not, it can be anything. It can be a platform like this that can help you, um, you know, um, just,
Develop your
yeah, develop that
personality.
kind of,
It
yeah,
leads to
and
the character
yeah,
development as well.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So that is important.
That
Yeah,
is great. It was really great having you today, ma'am. Again, I'm
yeah.
saying ma'am because this is the kind of respect
That's
I hold for you
okay.
right now. Thank you so much, Lakshita ji,
That's okay.
for attending the session. Thank you so much, Khan ji, for okay, Youth of India is doing excellent work. Thank you so much. You are the people who drive us to do the excellent work. Thank you so much, Pratika ji, Anmol ji, everybody present in the live today. It was great to have a conversation with all of you present here. And thank you so much, ma'am. Looking forward to connect with you again. Namaste from
Sure,
the Youth of
sure.
India Foundation.
Yeah. Thank you, Tanishi, for being such a good host. Thank you for being so lively, and thank you for like taking this conversation in a very, flowing manner and keeping it very lively. So yeah,
Thank
thank you.
Thank you so
I
much.
am looking forward to get engaged in any way possible. So please
Definitely,
feel
ma'am.
free to reach out.
We would love to connect further with you for our new initiatives and how you can help the Youth of India Foundation.
Oh,
Thank
thank
you so
you.
much, ma'am. Yes.
Bye.
Bye, ma'am.